Welcome to the Meditation Realm, Planeswalkers. I'm Caleb, your guide to these blind eternities. And in today's video, we got another one of the Fallout Commander decks. This time we're going through Science. We're going to check out this sweet deck. It's based on the energy theme, which hasn't been around since Kaladesh. Kaladesh wasn't really well represented either. There wasn't any legends that you could build around that used energy efficiently, so it's going to be sweet to actually have somebody to play. I know a lot of the energy cards have been spiking specifically for that reason. Alright, so we got the usual deck box with the scientist lady on the front here, Miss Dr. Madison Lee. And, alright, some tokens on the back side. Our usual Fallout inserts. And then the deck itself. We should have the mystery pack in here somewhere too. Yes, hidden in the back here. We have our collector sample pack, along with the spin wheel. We'll see what we get in this. There's some pretty good stuff from this set. There's a lot of strong cards for Commander. The bobbleheads have been pretty popular to build around. There's a lot of other cards that are going up in value. Definitely worth picking up and playing if you haven't gotten any of these decks. I just recommend getting the 4 Commander decks. So we got Dr. Madison Lee here at the front. She's the face of the Commander deck. She's the one that cares the most about utilizing energy. And then probably the better one, in my opinion, though, is Liberty Prime Recharge. Giving Jeskai such an aggressive commander to build around is so strong. And the card advantage, it does everything that you want to do. Really good. We have Paladin Dance, Steel Maverick. Pretty sweet. Nerd Rage. Some of these cards are definitely going to be a little stronger than others. Enchant Rage, Enchant Creature, enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards. Enchant Creature has, if you have no maximum hand size, and whenever this creature attacks, if you have 10 or more cards in hand, it gets +10/+10 until end of turn. So it's basically an enchantment divination, and then if you have a bunch of cards in hand, this just gets so huge. Gets your creature huge. Robobrain Warmind, robot, 3 star 5 for 3 and a blue. Power is equal to the number of cards in your hand. Enters the battlefield, you get an amount of energy equal to the number of artifact creatures you control. And when it attacks, you may pay 3 energy if you do draw a card. So some energy use here. Bottle Cap Blast. Instant with Improvise for 4 and a red. Deals 5 damage to any target. If excess damage was dealt to a permanent this way, create that many tapped treasure tokens. And then we have Elder Owen Leons. Artifacts you control of ward. Enters the battlefield or dies. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. He's a 3/3 for 2, a white and a blue. And then we have Behemoth of Vault 0. Big old robot, uncommon, 6/6 with trample for 6. When it enters the battlefield, you get 4 energy. And when it dies, you may pay an amount of energy equal to target non-land permanent's mana value when you do destroy that permanent. So you can spend a good chunk of energy to blow something up. Guy's only okay. We got Camp. It's an artifact. It's Fortification, one of those rare typings that cares about lands. Whenever a fortified land is tapped for mana, put a 1/1 counter on a target creature you control. If that creature shares a color with the mana of that land produced, create a junk token. Interesting card. Fortification equipments, basically, is how I've always viewed them, because you attach it to target land you control. They're basically land equipments. But only okay. Endurance Bobblehead, one of those great bobbleheads that care about the other stuff. 3-drop Mana Rock. Adds mana, you can pay 3 and tap it. Up to X target creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain Indestructible end of turn, where X is the number of bobbleheads you control as you activate this ability. Activate only as a sorcery. So you can't use this to save your creatures from a board wipe, but you can do it at the start of combat when you pump everything up. I really like the bobbleheads. I think they're going to be a fun build around. We have Expert Level Safe. Another common here. Uncommon. Enters the battlefield, exile the top 2 cards of your library face down, and pay 1. And you and target opponent each secretly choose 1, 2, or 3. Then those choices are revealed. If they match, sacrifice Expert Level Safe and put all cards exiled with it into their owner's hands. Otherwise, exile the top card of your library face down. So, you could get something good, or it could blow up in your face. Okay. We have the Intelligence Bobblehead, where you draw X cards, which is the number of bobbleheads you control, for 5 mana. It's a lot of mana to draw, but if you have 5 bobbleheads, you're drawing 5 cards, and if you have more, you're getting more. Nuka-Cola Vending Machine, probably the most powerful card from this set. Or one of them, I should say. Create a food token. Whenever you sacrifice a food token, create a tapped treasure token. Like, this just synergizes with so many food decks that came out recently, and you just get the free treasures, even if they come into play tapped. It's just so very strong. And it's uncommon. And then we got the reprints here. Good old Crush Contraband, Dispatch, Swords to Plowshares. Can't go wrong with STP. Glimmer of Genius, Thirst for Knowledge. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and skip through pretty much most of these reprints here. Always good to have Arcane Signet in every commander deck, basically. There's no good reason not to run Arcane Signet. Just about. I think there are very few of those, like, companions that are, like, maybe you can argue having that is a good build, have her build around. Alright, so another new card here. We got Automated Assembly Line. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get an energy. And you can pay 3 energy to create a tapped 3/3 colorless robot artifact token. So you can't make blockers at instant speed, but you can make a lot of dudes. I like that. Brotherhood Scribe, a 1/3 human artificer for 1 and a white. With Metalcraft, tap it, you get an energy. Activate only if you control 3 or more artifacts. And whenever you get 1 or more energy during your turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Nice. So this can definitely buff your board real quick if you got a lot of things that trigger to give you energy. Overencumbered, enchant an opponent for 1 and a white. It's an aura. When Overencumbered enters a battlefield, enchanted opponent creates a clue token, a food token, and a junk token. At the beginning of combat on an enchanted player's turn, that player may pay 1 for each artifact they control. If they don't, creatures can't attack this combat. Interesting. So, I mean, you give them a bunch of tokens that they basically can use, but if they have a heavy artifact deck, especially if it's got a bunch of mana rocks, it's going to cost them all of their mana rocks to be able to attack, plus extra. I don't know. I mean, giving your opponent a little bit of advantage there, I mean, it's basically 2 card advantage tokens and some life. Could see play. It's interesting. Not bad, it's interesting. We have Pridewind Steel Flagship. It's a vehicle for 6 mana, 4 and 2 white. It's a 6/6 flying. Whenever another non-token artifact enters the battlefield under your control, create a 2/2 white human knight creature token with this creature gets +2/+2 as long as an artifact enters the battlefield under your control this turn. Alright, so I mean the tokens are big enough to crew it anyways, and then they just get bigger. So, not bad. Sentry Bot. 5-drop artifact creature with flash. The spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature attacking you, so he can be real cheap. When it enters the battlefield, you get an energy for each creature attacking you. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, you may pay 3 energy. If you do, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. Yeah, this guy's really strong. This is just going to be a great response. Your opponent's got 4 1/1s coming at you in the early game. You pay 1 white mana, you flash this out, you block it. Take a few damage, and then you're just going to get, several energy to be able to use for either its effect or something else. I really like this guy for the energy deck. That's strong. Vault 13, Dweller's Journey, and a saga. First chapter is for each player, exile up to 1 other target enchantment or creature that player controls until the vault leaves the battlefield. Chapter 2 is you gain 2 and you scry 2, and return 2 target cards exiled with Vault 13 to the battlefield under the owner's control. And put the rest in the bottom of the owner's library for the 3rd chapter. Interesting. So semi-removal, bring them back. We have Curry, Emergent Intelligence. When it deals combat to a player, draw cards equal to its base power. So you never draw more than 1. Disappointing. Exile another non-token artifact creature you control. Curie becomes a copy of the exiled creature, except it has, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw cards equal to its base power. So you can exile something big, and then it'll draw a bunch of cards. So, interesting. James, the wandering dad, he went out for some cigarettes. He came back. He's got an adventure on him. Instant, it says follow him, investigate X times. And then as for the creature himself, he's a 2/4 for 2 and a blue. You can tap him to add 2 colorless. Spend this mana only to activate abilities. So it's only okay. I mean, he's a mana ramp in blue, so I mean, there is that. Nick Valentine, Private Eye, can't be blocked except by artifact creatures. Whenever it or another artifact creature you control dies, you may investigate. So, some decent advantage, especially against those board wipes. Synth Infiltrator has Improvise. You may have Synth Infiltrator enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it's a Synth artifact creature in addition to its other types. We have a Sultron Dominator, artifact creature for 2, a 1 and a red. It's a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. And whenever an artifact creature you control attacks, you may pay a red, or an energy, I mean. If you do, put your choice of a 1/1 first strike or trample counter on that creature. Another way to use up those energies, 1 by 1 anyways. The Motherlode Excavator, legendary artifact creature robot, 5/5 for 5. When it enters the battlefield, choose target opponent. You get an amount of energy equal to the number of non-basic lands that player controls. So most decks, you're probably going to get 5 or more energy when you first get this. When it attacks, you may pay 4 energy. When you do, destroy target non-basic land dependent player controls, and creatures that player controls without flying can't block this turn. Ooh. So, I mean, it's Lando, which some people really hate, but, you know, it's good to have an effect to be able to destroy an Urborg or a Gaia's Cradle or some of those other power lands that just really take away the game. Cabal Coffers, I should say, with Urborg. Urborg itself doesn't really take away the game. We have Plasma Caster. It's an equipment for 1 and a red. A creature gets +1/+1. Whenever equipped creature attacks, you get 2 energy, and you can pay 2 energy. Choose target creature that's blocking a equipped creature. Flip a coin. If you win the flip, exile the chosen creature. Otherwise, Plasma Caster deals 1 damage to it. Yeah, right on. So you either just completely exile the creature so it doesn't deal damage, or you deal damage to it. And I mean, if you got enough energy, you can just, you know, if you don't win the exile, you can just pay enough energy to blow up a creature. I like that. It's decent equipment. Synth Eradicator. It's a 3/3 with haste for 2 and a red. When it attacks, exile the top card of your library. You may get 2 energy. If you don't, you may play that card this turn. Okay. And you can pay 3 energy. It deals 3 damage to any target. So a good way to use up that energy in chunks and just finish off people in the late game. Lightning Bolt them. Arcade Ganon, 2 white and a blue for a human doctor legendary creature, 2/3. He has tap, draw a card, then discard a card, put a quest counter on Arcade, and once during each of your turns, you may cast an artifact or human spell from your graveyard with mana value less than or equal to the number of quest counters on Arcade Ganon. So, I mean, another one of those artifact matter guys, because you can put a bunch of counters on him and then play cards from your graveyard. But you can do humans and artifacts. You can also throw them into the blue-white human deck. So, not bad. I can see that getting some play. Electro Siphon. 2 blue and a red instant. Counter target spell. You get an amount of energy equal to its mana value. So that's perfect for this type of deck because you want to, 3 manas, kind of on the expensive end for countering, but you get a bunch of energy to utilize for all your cards that value that energy. So that's really good. We have the Red Death Shipwrecker. Legendary Crab Mutant for blue-red. It's a 1/3. You can tap it to go target creature an opponent controls. That player draws a card, and then you add a red. Interesting. Too bad let's the opponent draw a card. But it is mana ramp on a 2-drop in blue-red. And it forces one of your opponent's creatures to attack. Unfortunately, you have to have a target, so if you play this on turn 2 and they don't have anything, then it doesn't get the mana ramp, but you can force aggro and ramp in blue-red as a commander. That's interesting. I'm curious to see how people play this guy. We have Rex the Cyberhound. He's a good boy. He's a robot dog for 1 blue and a white, 2/2. When it deals combat damage to a player, they mill 2 cards and you get 2 energy. You can pay 2 energy, choose target creature card in a graveyard, exile with a brain counter on it. And Rex has all activated abilities of all cards in exile with brain counters on them. Not bad. Sentinel Sierra Leones. Haste 4/4 for 3 a red and a white. Legendary Human Knight. As long as an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +2/+2. Enter your battlefield this turn, I should say, for that artifact. And Battalion. Whenever Sentinel Sierra Leones and at least 2 other creatures you control attack, Sentinel Sierra Leone deals damage equal to the number of artifacts you control to target player. So, definitely a good way for those aggro artifact decks to be able to bump your board. Suddenly this is a 6/6. If you got enough artifacts, it's attacking. Deal 5 damage to your opponent or whatever, depending on what creatures you have. Not bad. Sean, the father of sins. We got a lot of fathers in the set. He's a 3/4 for a 3, a blue, and a red. Whenever you attack, you may create a copy, a tapped and attack-in token that's a copy of target attack and legendary creature you control, other than Sean, except it's a non-legendary and it's a synth artifact creature in addition to its other types. And when Sean leaves the battlefield, exile all synth tokens you control. Yeah, that's really strong, especially for those Joda-style decks. Like, just being able to make copies of the legendary creatures over and over and over again. Oh, yeah, guy's really good. I can see him seeing a lot of play. We have Vault 112, Sadistic Simulation, for 2, a blue, and a red. The first 2 chapters are tap up to 1 target creature and put a stun counter on it. You get 2 energy, so basic denial. And the third chapter, you may pay any amount of energy. If you paid 1 or more energy this way, shuffle your library, then exile that many cards from the top. You may play one of those cards without paying its mana cost. So, I mean, there's a good way to be able to spend a good chunk of energy, shuffle, get some potentially sweet big bomb to play. Brotherhood Vertibird is a flying vehicle for 3 mana, and its power is equal to the number of artifacts you control with Crew 2. It's a star 4. So this guy can be really big. This guy could easily be in Commander like a 6/4 on turn 4. So I could definitely see this getting a lot of work in. Maybe bigger. Nice. So we have T45, Power Armor, and Equipment for 2 mana. When it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. Equipped creature gets +3/+3 and doesn't untap during the controller's untap step. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay an energy. If you do untap equipped creature, then put your choice of a menace, trample, or lifelink counter on it. So the fact that you put the counter on the creature, and then it's, you're building energies, it's always going to be able to untap. So I really like this. It's going to be good for this deck. Those energy builds anyways. And then we have the continuation of this land cycle. We have Ferris Lake here. Tap for a blue and a red. Helios 1. Land, you can tap it to get pay 1 and tap it to get an energy. You can pay 3, pay X energy and sack it, destroy target non-land permanent with value X, activate only as a sorcery. Nice! This is another great way to use up your energy and on a land itself. Alright, we got a good old austere command for one of our board wipes. Open the vault. Mechanized production. One with the machine. Wake the past. Great card. Definitely a great way to blow the game out of nowhere. Mystic Forge, Panharmonicon, Solemn Simulacrum, Steel Overseer, Clifftop Retreat, our good old Exotic Orchard sees just about every commander deck. Glacial Fortress, Irrigated Farmland, Prairie Stream, Skycloud Expanse, Spire of Industry, Sulphur Falls, Temple, Treasure Vault, Wayfarer's Bubble, Ash Barrens, Buried Ruin, Command Tower, and Evolving Wilds, A Myriad Landscape, Mystic Monastery, Path of Ancestry, some of these artifact bridges, and Terramorphic Expanse. How many basics it goes? 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 13 basics. Still a lot. I compared them to the last Doctor Who commander decks. I feel like the lands were a little bit better. We got a lot more, felt like work put into the lands. But, not every one of these sets can have super amazing lands. From Wizards' point of view, anyway. In my opinion, they can always have the super amazing lands. They just got to put the effort. Alright, we're going to open up our collector booster sample here, see what we get. The deck itself looks really fun. I'm looking forward to playing it. I know a lot of people have already built it at my local shop. Some version of it. Alright, so we've got the Yes Man, the Personal Securitron for our rare here. And then we've got Atomize. Nice. And it's special art. So 2 good cards. Well, Securitron, I don't know so much about being good, but I like this. Destroy target non-land permanent, proliferate. For a lot of those proliferate matter deck, this just blows up anything you want, and you get add those extra counters to all your things. Thank you for joining me, Planeswalkers. I'm always glad to have you here. Like, share, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you here in the next video.